Fine. We're looking good. Okay, and we'll give you a clap here. You tell me when you're rolling.
Camera rolling.
Okay. So we actually have a clapboard that we forget from time to time, but so it's very official. Okay, just go ahead and introduce yourself, name, and so we've got it just for the record.
Okay. So I'm Mark Davies. I teach in the Department of Linguistics and English Language, and I've been at BYU since 2003.
Okay. How are we doing on audio?
Good.
Okay. Okay. And so, what caused you to become engaged in linguistics? What was it that moved you in that direction?
Like a lot of BYU students, I got interested in linguistics first as a missionary. I had never studied any foreign languages at all before my mission, and just learning one language kind of opened up the question of what do all languages have in common and so on. And so I started studying a number of languages at that time, and I had served a Spanish-speaking mission, so I went into Spanish. Then it's been the last 10 years or so that I've moved quite a bit more over into English.
Okay. Define corpus for us. What is a corpus?
A corpus is just a collection of texts that can be searched to get linguistic data, to see what's going on in a language.
Okay. What do you mean by what's going on in a language? Say that in maybe not real technical terms, but what's going on in a language means.
So when we talk about what's going on in the language, it would be, for example, how the language is changing, how the grammar of the language is changing over time, or what words mean beyond just a simple dictionary definition, how language is used by different groups of speakers or writers, how it's governed by different genres in speaking and writing, how language is different from one country to another. So those are just some simple examples of when we talk about what's going on in a language.
Good. When I say what got you started in linguistics, so what prompted you to become engaged? It was that missionary experience that got you involved with language, but why specifically corpus linguistics? What was it that made you say, I want to develop corpora?
Yeah. So back when I was a graduate student and I started doing research on Spanish, I realized I didn't have the intuitions of a native speaker and likely never would. But by creating corpora of Spanish, and this is 25 years ago, even if I didn't have those intuitions, I could look at millions of words of native speakers and say, this is what's really going on in the language.
Good. I love your answers. Okay, you're getting right to the crux as we go through here. Let's talk about the computer systems that you use, the client server, and without getting into the nerdy kind of terminology, but go ahead and tell us when you work, how do you carry out your work?
Okay. So most of the corpora that I've created are on fairly powerful servers that BYU has purchased. BYU's been very, very generous in terms of supplying the servers. And if you think about it, with the corpora, what we're trying to do is to search hundreds of millions of words doing some pretty complex queries, not just words and phrases, but grammatical constructions and so on. We're trying to search for all of that in 1 or 2 seconds in hundreds of millions of words. And that's why you need fairly powerful servers that can do that type of thing.
Okay, how about on the workstation side? What happens on the workstation side? What does that configuration look like?
That's really simple, actually.
Okay, go ahead and start and say the user of the systems at their workstation or at their PC.
Oh, you're talking about the users then.
Yeah. On the user side, we can do all three. We can do the developer. We can do the developer's workstation, the end user's workstation, and then the server. We've talked about the server. So pick one, either the end user or the developer.
Yeah. So when users access the corpora from any country of the world, at BYU, somewhere in the United States, wherever, it's just accessed via a web interface. So they can use an iPad, they can use a PC, Mac, it doesn't really matter. the idea is that everything is accessible, easily accessible via the web.
Okay. And when you're developing, did you all get the shots already of him at his workstation today?
He didn't want it in his office.
Ah.
So, and it would be funny to cut from him in his interview, looking the way he does, to him in his office looking the way that he does. You know, it'd be the same thing.
Okay, so you want to do that another day?
Yeah, we're going to do it another day.
Okay, that's fine. And we'll find another location, or?
He said he's never in his office and he hasn't used it for
We
research.
could pretend, and I could have a different shirt. I mean, you're going to come over there to do classroom stuff anyway and go down to the server room for 30 seconds.
Yeah, we're going to do that today.
Yeah.
But I get the Whitney's concern that you look a little differently as opposed to jumping around the universe in the same shirt. So
Which actually I do, but
got one shirt. BYU needs to pay more, right?
3 or 4. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then let's talk about the developer's workstation. Just go ahead and say, when I'm developing a corpus, I
don't think you want this answer. I mean, honestly, when I develop a corpus, I was telling them I'm basically sitting at home in a recliner connected to my servers via remote desktop.
Okay.
How about how long it took to, like, you were on the computer searching for however long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's two. No, I like what you said about sitting at home in your recliner. I don't think that sounds lazy, and I mean, if that's what you do, this.
Yeah, it sounds a little weird. But
it sounds bizarre. If you don't want it, we'll drop it out.
Yeah.
You don't like that?
Well, it makes it sound like I sit around at home and watch little Flintstones, and then I do a corpus thing and watch some Brady Bunch, and that's not the way it works.
I think the interesting part is, you know, when I developed the corpus, corpora, I spent however many hours or whatever you think searching the internet on my computer.
I like that. How about this compromise? I can be at home in my recliner. I can be in my office. I can be on the top of Timpanogos if I've got a fast internet connection or whatever. I mean, just to me, that's interesting. The fact that you can. I don't want to. I have a whole background that prompts me to want you to say that. This idea that you can do work anywhere, do productive work anywhere. It goes all the way back to Toffler's third wave from 45 years ago. So maybe I'll
say something like, so when I'm creating a corpus, I don't necessarily have to be on campus doing it. I can be collecting the texts and putting them into the database, really from anywhere in the world, and a lot of the work that I do from home.
In my recliner.
I'm not going to say it.
No, that's okay.
That was good.
We're not MSNBC or CNN here. We'll give you a lot of freedom here. Okay, but we need the time length as well. So let's do that one more time. When I'm developing anywhere.
Hang on, sorry, the computer.
Yeah, flip that back on there. Maybe there we go. Good. Thank you, Bobby. Good eye. Good eye. So and say a particular corpus, and I think that's really an interesting aspect of I can do it anywhere. This is a pretty time-intensive process that it takes to do this, and it takes time, but I can put that time in from many different locations. However you want to word that.
Yeah, so when I'm creating a corpus, depending on what the corpus is, it'll take anywhere from maybe 30 or 40 hours up to hundreds of hours. The corpus of contemporary American English that I created, which is the most widely used one, took easily hundreds of hours to create initially, and has taken probably that much to keep updated since it came online in 2008. And other corpora that I've created, the Corpus of Historical American English, COA, that was created with funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Between myself and the students who were working with me, it took us between 3 and 4 years to create that corpus. So it was fairly time intensive.
Okay. Now, do you think we can cut between those two, where he talks about where he did it and then how long it took? Can we use that, or do we need to say it in one take, do you think?
He said enough. He said the very general idea from 8:50 to 9, so it's 10 seconds. And if we want to include, for instance, the American English text that you mentioned, it's only 10 more seconds, so
Okay.
we're good. It's in
But we
20
can
seconds.
edit the two. We don't need him to do it in one take, is what I'm getting
No,
at.
it's good.
Bobby?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
definitely.
all right. Now, we have to sort of be jumping forward here to the post-production process where we say, okay, how can we put these clips together
Sure.
and use that piece that you didn't want us, where we have you in the recliner, we'll put that in. No,
Yeah, do that.
just kidding. Okay. Let's talk about the number of corpora that you've created. That, to me, that's impressive. You've been involved in several different projects. So just tell us about some of the things that you've done. And then you can do it afterwards or while you're saying it, but list them out. Give us some sense of the scope and the breadth of what you've done.
Okay. So overall, I've created, depends on how, I'll start again. So overall, I've created between 7 and 8 corpora, depends on how you define corpus. The first one was the corpus of, having a hard time here. Okay, so overall, I've created a number of different corpora. The first one was the Corpus del Español, which is a 100 million word corpus of Spanish. That was followed by the Corpus de Português, 45 million words of Portuguese. The main corpora that I've been working on for the last 5-6 years have been English corpora. The Corpus of Contemporary American English, 450 million words. The Corpus of Historical American English, 400 million words, that was funded by the government, as well as the Spanish and Portuguese corpora. British National Corpus, which I didn't create originally, but I've put it into my own architecture and interface. And I continue to create a number of other corpora as well. I just did an interesting 100 million word corpus of recent American soap operas, or a 25 million word corpus of general conference talks going back